r/AskReddit. Children of I want to talk to your manager parents. What has been your most embarrassing experience? Scene. Any fast food drive-thru. Worker. Mom, can you please drive forward a little bit while your food finishes up? Mom, no. Folds arms. My mom needed to return some shirts at the mall because they didn't fit right. It was past the allotted time that she had to return them, so the employee said that there wasn't anything she could do. My mom started screaming at this girl who was probably about 16 or 17, calling her names and demanding to speak to the manager. When the manager told my mom that they couldn't do anything and that the return policy was on the receipt, my mom threw a fit and knocked over a display that was next to the register and stormed out of the store. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time and I was mortified. I apologized for her behavior and picked up what I could before she started calling for me to follow her. The manager was super sweet to me though and told me that I was a good kid and to stick up to my mom when I could get away with it. We traveled a lot when we were younger and would skip lines at the airport since we were kids. But now we were all in our early teens and my mom faked having a heart condition to skip the long line to get on the airplane. Flight attendant would have none of it and told us to go back to the end of the line. I still remember the smiles and looks of everyone there. The number of cashiers my father demanded the manager fired because they were too slow, rang us up wrong, etc., including one they actually did. I'll never forget that girl taking her Home Depot apron off and walking away sobbing. To his credit, I guess, my dad seemed surprised that it actually worked, must have felt at least some level of guilt and never did it again. I bet the reason he never did it again is because he suddenly empathized with the cashier. Up until that moment he saw himself as the little guy being pushed around by forces outside his control, so he's pushing back as a kind of valiant hopeless defense. But when he saw the cashier take off her apron and cry, he realized that she's being pushed around by forces outside her control too, and that he's the one doing the pushing. It was probably a profound, life-changing realization for him. Before Value Village, Savers in the States I think, changed policies, she would cut tags to get discounts since the cashiers would basically make up whatever price they thought it would be, on the spot. If they highballed it, she would get a manager involved and I hated that. I work in a call center, and one of my co-workers spoke to a woman and explained a thing to her. I forget the exact thing, like, supposedly told her something would be covered and it wasn't or something along those lines. The woman calls back super angry and escalates to manager. Manager reviews the call and finds woman was in fact told the correct thing. She is still angry and insisting she was told the wrong thing. Manager replies, are you sure? Are you 100% sure? Because I am going to take you at your word, and if that is the case, employee will lose his job. Someone is going to be fired over this if you are certain that's what they told you. The woman did not give a crap, and insisted she was told the wrong thing. Some people are scum. The manager did not fire my co-worker. She had proof he was correct. She just wanted to see how far this woman was willing to take her lie. Right, so my mum and me went shopping, and she dropped a melon on the way out. She then claimed it was bruised and demanded a full refund. When she refused, she shouted at customer service and demanded the manager. I just sat there with a kill me now expression on my face. After, one of the customer service employees gave me a chocolate bar, so 7-year-old me was happy. I was with my parents on vacation and the hotel put charges on the bill by accident. My mom marched to the front desk and demanded to see the manager. There was a long line, but she cut right in front of it. The manager wasn't very helpful, probably because she was rude. So my mom went to all the other customers in line and told them that the hotel was a scam and they were ripping us off with fake charges. She made a scene. The hotel called the police and we were escorted off the premises by actual cops. I died inside. About once a month my dad gets drunk and calls various customer service centers demanding stuff. Once he finally gets off the phone, Frequently 45+ minutes later, he spends the next few days telling us all about how he slew the customer service dragon, and boy, people sure don't appreciate their customers nowadays, blah blah blah. No duh, dad, you're being in butthole. No one appreciates that. If you've worked for DirecTV customer service anytime since 1996, I apologize on behalf of my dad. Edit. Another story for y'all. I also remembered one time McEdee's was having some kind of 2-for-1 breakfast sandwich deal going on where the total was about $3. He gets his breakfast, drives around 25 minutes to work, realizes he's missing one of the sandwiches, and proceeds to call McEdee's customer support every evening after work for a week to complain about his wasted $1.50. They gave him apologies. They gave him coupons. But he just wanted to yell. My father consistently returns food to grocery stores when he isn't satisfied with the quality. The worst is when he returns the 2-pound bricks of cheddar cheese because they went moldy before they should have. When I was a young child on a long-distance flight, my mother let me and my brother sleep on the floor. For safety reasons, the flight attendants told my mother that we were not allowed to sleep on the floor. She started to argue with the flight attendants, who then turned to the pilots. The pilots threatened to turn the plane around unless we get up from the floor, but she continued to argue. The pilots announced they were about to turn around because of my mother, so all the passengers got ticked. Eventually she caved in when she had all passengers and flight crew on a Boeing 747 against her. I like that a parent got hit with the "I will turn this thing around" card. She got out-mommed. My mother is a nightmare with customer service. Even with the fact that her daughter, works in customer service and deals with people like her on the daily. So many incidents stick out in my mind, but one that really embarrassed me was we were at Walmart. The stocker was struggling and dropped their price scanner thing on the ground. I was going to go help her gather her things she was struggling with when my mom came out like a bat out of hell and yelled, "You know you should pick that up, people could trip," and then she darted off with the cart. I was so embarrassed I just walked away in shame. And when I pointed it out to my mom, the girl dropped it on accident. She said, "Well, she should be more careful, K." My mom demanded to see a cafe's hygiene certificate when she saw an employee go from cutting cake in the kitchen to handling money at the till, even though the real problem is going the other way. How do you know that that cake wasn't actually hollow and filled with cocaine and tuberculosis? Hectometers. Then it's not actually hollow, now is it? My dad just loved to argue, and he loved a deal. We were shopping in a department store, and I found a pair of pants I was mildly interested in. The pants were tagged at, let's say, $40, and the sign on the rack was all pants $25. I was mildly interested. I asked the sales clerk if they had them in my size. The clerk said those aren't supposed to be on that rack. My dad lost his mind and insisted on getting the pants for $25, and started asking for a courtesy discount on top of that. Escalated to the floor manager and the store manager. Meanwhile, I didn't want the pants. They were okay pants, I guess. Nothing awesome. I just didn't care very much about them. I was more than happy to move on. I told my dad I didn't want the pants. By then he didn't care about what I wanted. He wanted the pants at the better price. Eventually, after like an hour of arguing, the store manager said, "We're not giving you the pants at that price. Take them or leave them at $40. So we left them. Which suited me just fine, because I didn't want the pants. My mom has been this person regularly throughout my life, but I do have one positive story with it. She and I went to eat at Portillo's when I was a teenager, and we sat in the back of the restaurant where it was more private so we can eat in peace. About 10 minutes into our meal, 2 people come into the empty area and sit down 2 tables away from us. Turns out it was a manager and an employee that was getting written up. The manager was being a complete jerk towards the employee, criticizing and belittling them. My mom put down her food and walked over and started yelling at the manager for being such an butthole. She went on a rant about how rude and wrong it was of him to do this in front of the public 2 tables away from customers and really let him have it. She demanded the phone number of the manager above him and we left after she received it. I was pretty embarrassed at the time, but as I got older I realized that she was standing up for that employee and how wrong that manager really was. I'm not 100% sure what she did with that phone number because I lived with my dad and I had to go home after that meal.
Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe as well for more Reddit stories like this. Until next time.